Hello viewers, welcome to my second session of this spoken English workshop. I hope you have gone through the first session and understood the things discussed there, and I also hope that you have practiced some of the drills suggested there for the enrichment of your word power or for practicing your sentence construction ability, especially the type 1 or type 2 basic structures. And after watching it again, or after you have a command over the type 1 or type 2 sentence, you just try to lengthen those sentences that you are capable of making now. Just framing small sentences is not enough for talking. So you should be able to make use of the longer sentences also. So after you have a fairly well command over the first stage, you move on to the second stage, and I hope it will not be a difficulty for you, because the experience, as I told, or as I always insist, it has shown me that the thing works. The drill of type 1, type 2 sentence really works if you go to that stage after empowering or enriching your vocabulary, especially nouns and verbs. So continue it, and remember, Rome was not built in a day. For any effort, for any success, you have to devote yourself more and more. Now that you have so much of time at hand, invest a bit of it for improving this linguistic competence or spoken English skill, which will be of great help to you when you enter the job market or when you continue in the job market. It gives you a command, a confidence. So that is why again and again I am insisting, don't stop. It really clicks. So carry forward your activities or a drill in this particular thing. So as I told you in the last session, while talking we need some more varieties of sentence. Just assertive sentences are not enough. Just type 1, type 2 sentences are not enough. There we need some more sentences, and one of such important category is the imperative sentences. Imperative sentences, actually I need not tell you how to construct imperative sentence, because you are at command at home, among your siblings, among your friends, or with your parents. You are so adapted to giving the orders. Give me this, give me that, do this work, I want this or something. Some of the demands, whenever you have the demands in your mind, you order your mom. Dad, you rarely do that. You order your siblings. Sometimes you order your friends to do this and that. So all these are the imperative sentences. But I would like to clarify the structure so that the same commands which you are already using in your life bit confidently. Okay. So I would like to just stress on the commands or the structure of the commands. See, first take up the commands. Usually, as I told you, the assertive sentences began with the subject, noun or pronoun, and then came the verb and then rest of the sentence. But here the difference is, usually a command begins with a verb. All the verb themselves are a sentence in itself. See, go. If I say go, yes, it is a sentence. What I mean to say is, you go. Here, you is silent. In all the commands, the subject or the pronoun you is understood between the or by the speaker as well as to whom it is addressed. Okay, so the you is silent, it is understood, and we only utter the verb directly. Go out, come in, close the door, open the door, sit silently, do the homework. Then sometimes we use the negative things, or we use the negative word not. Don't do this, don't do, or don't disturb me, don't make mistakes, write neatly, don't write rubbishly. So either we make use of the commands directly with the verb, or when we ask not to do something, we add one helping verb and not there, don't we add. See, when you are doing the homework and when your younger sibling disturbs you, your younger brother or sister disturbs you, then what you do? Don't disturb me, don't touch my notebook. Okay, don't write on my notebook, don't write on my book. So these are the orders you give your younger ones in the family. Then many a time you order your mother, serve me food. Here one more a point to make note of is, there will be sometimes some vocative addresses, mom, or you address your younger brother or sister by their names. Then where to add? You can add them either in the beginning or in the end. Mom, serve me food, or serve me food, mom. So anywhere you can add. So here don't bother about the vocative addresses, just concentrate on the structure. Okay, the subject is silent, the sentence begins with the verb, and the rest, adverb or complement or object, whatever it comes, depending upon the verb or depending upon the meaning of the verb, it comes automatically. You need not bother, you need not search. See, when you addressing a window, you say open, open the window, window comes there automatically. When the teacher enters and when he wants you, the books opened in front of you, so what he says? Open the book. So when we use the open, the next word, the books or the notebooks, so it automatically comes. So you are not to search those objects. Okay, concentrate only on the verb. So all the verbs, again and again I tell you, in the orders, okay, the verbs, they begin with the verbs, and in that sense all the verbs are sentence themselves, imperative sentence themselves. Here, and don't be in a wrong impression that the sentences don't have subject. The subject is implied, the subject is understood. And for the negative commands or asking not to do something, use or add don't in prior to the verb, or prefix the word don't to that verb. Do this, don't do this. Open the window, don't open the window. Say loudly, don't talk. Keep silence, or don't disturb. So either of these you use. Now what is the difference between an order and a request? The difference is of one word. You are to add one small word to the order, or prefix a word to the order, then it becomes a request. See there, please. So please go out, please come in, please open the door, please read between the lines. So usually the requests have please in the beginning, and here you may be having some doubts, and the doubt is, many a time we make these type of imperative sentences, no doubt, but in some rare cases we also make use of the questions also, for making request or giving the orders. Okay, can you give me that book, please say, or can you please spare me your pen? Of course, these are also alright. For making request or for giving orders, you can also make use of the questions. So we will see about the questions, how to prepare the questions, how to frame the questions in the next slide. So I hope you know or you understood giving orders and making requests. Orders begin with the verb, and if there are some negative words or negative or restricting things, asking not to do something, then you add don't to that verb. So this is about the orders. And if it is a request, please is added to whatever the sentence is. If it begins with the verb, add please before the verb. If it has a don't, add please before that don't. Please don't open the door. Please don't disturb me. So like this. So this is about the orders and the requests. So I hope you can, here onwards, you can use the same things which you, as I told you, you had been using. So you can use them with a bit more command in the future days. The next sentence, type of sentence which we make use of in our conversation, almost we can say some 30% of times we need to question. Okay, or not equally we can say, assertive sentences are more in our conversation, but there are here and there some of the questions strewn. So, how to prepare a question, how to make a question, and most of the students commit mistakes in framing these questions, especially in placing that subject and verb. So, here the look at the basic difference between the statement and a subject. The statement says Raju is a student. So, it is a type 2 sentence. Okay, Raju subject is a verb, and the very sentence, this particular sentence, if we are to convert it into a question, what it becomes? Is Raju a student? So, what is the basic difference? Here in the statement we had first the subject, Raju was first, then came is, and then followed student. But here in the question, what came first? The helping verb is came first, then came Raju, and then rest of the statement. So, don't bother about the rest of the statement, just concentrate on first two words. Any sentence you take. Rupa is a teacher. Is Rupa a teacher? She is a doctor. Is she a doctor? See, we have just reversed the order of subject and verb. And one more point to make note of here is that usually the statement, the helping verbs in the statement are used for framing question. But there are some statements wherein we don't have the helping verb. Now take for example simple present tense and simple past tense sentence, that is type 1 sentences. Remember, which we discussed in our first session. Boy eats. Now how will you make a sentence here? There is no helping verb. And remember, to frame any question you need a helping verb. Only with in the questions beginning with who. We may frame question without the helping verb, or else in all the questions we need a helping verb. Now here, how will you prepare a question beginning or the question which does not have a helping verb? See, the boy eats. Now how will you frame sentence? Remember, whenever you are to make a sentence, you are to frame a question or sentence, frame a question, and when there is no helping verb, okay, you are to make use of do, form of do. If it is present tense, you use either do or does. If it is past tense, you make use of did. Any question. He went to market. Did he go to market? Boy eats apple. Does boy eat apple? See the structure. Boy eats apple. There is no helping verb. So, we took the help of do. Which form of do we have to take? Being the present tense, we have to take either do or does. Now, boy being third person singular, boy eats. So, what we take? Does. Does boy, as we have added s to do, we have done it does. Okay, what you will do? Does boy eat? So, this is how the question is to be framed. Got the idea clear? The structure of any question, let it be yes/no question, let it be WH question or tag question, any question, the structure will be the same. First the helping verb, next the subject, and later the rest of the sentence. And if there are no helping verbs, take the aid of do. See the tense of the sentence, if it is past tense, take did. If it is present tense, take do or does. I hope you got the idea clear on this. Now, there are, as I told you, 3 types of questions. Tag question, yes/no question, and WH question. Now, here let us take up the middle one, that is yes/no question first, because yes/no question is the base on which we can find the WH question or tag question linked. Okay, if you get the sound idea of yes no question, then you can make any type of question. Now, how to make an yes no question? First of all, what is yes no question? Simple, there is no WH word. Okay, the question begins directly from a helping verb. One criteria, one feature. Second thing is, the answer expected of from these questions is either yes or no. We don't need long answers here. So, the answer can be just yes or no, or the question can be answered just by yes or no. So, they are called as yes no questions. So, here you will not find WH word. So, how the structure of this yes no question will be? So, the first place is shown blank, that means there is no WH word. The question directly begins with a helping verb, and then comes the subject, and later if there is main verb, the main verb follows, or if there is object or adverb, whatever is there, that follows. So, just to fix on the two things, one verb, one helping verb and subject, and there the yes no question comes. Now, I hope you remember the helping verbs, the list of helping verbs which I had asked you to memorize in my first session. The be, then do, then have. We can go back to that if you want. See, the helping verbs. I hope you remember these helping verbs, isn't it? So, here with each helping verb we can do the sentence. We can frame the sentence, take is or am or are or was or were. So, I hope you recalled all these helping verbs which we had discussed in our last session, isn't it? So, now let us take up the helping verbs based on, or the questions based on the helping verbs, these different helping verbs, okay. See, for the present tense sentences, or the question to be asked in the present tense, the things referring to present tense, we can make use of is, am, are, do, does and have. See, usually the present tense questions or the questions related to the present moment will be or will make use of these helping verbs. So, let me take some examples. You can have a glance at the slide or the examples given there, or you can, as I told you in the last session, better you make your own sentences. See, with do you come, do you read, do you watch TV? If the question is to some third person singular, does she attend the class regularly? Does she watch the videos? Does she do the homework? So, do or does, referring to any present action you can make use of. Then if it is a continuous action and the action going on, is she reading now? Are the students playing on the ground? Or are the students doing the project? The work is going on. So, referring to such works, we can make use of the continuous tense. So, make use of is, am or are, referring to the continuous tense incidents. Or for the type 2 sentences, is she here? Is she busy? Are they happy? Am I angry? So, all these are the questions in a present tense, and see here, observe it minutely, we make use of only these helping verbs in the present tense questions, is, am, are, do, does and sometimes have also. The action is not belonging to complete past, but in the completed in the immediate past. Then we, referring to such incidents, we can ask the questions using have. Have you done the work? Have you finished the project? Have you submitted? Have you cooked food? Have you replied the letter? So, like this. So, referring to the completed action in the present tense, we can make use of have. In the past tense, same, the similar, the past tense forms for the same words. That is, for instead of is, am, are, we can make use of was, were. Instead of do or does, we can use did. Then instead of has or have, we make use of had. So you can see the examples given there. You can have a thorough idea about that, or you can make your own sentences. Was he there? Was he present if it is type 2? Or simple, in the simple past tense, did he attend the meeting? Did he listen to you? Did he submit the project? Did he attend the party? So all these are the past tense one, or past tense, the continuous tense, past continuous tense. Was he watching the video when you entered the class? Was he playing on the mobile when you arrived there? So the past continuous actions or the past completed actions. Had you replied to them? Had you attended the function last year? Referring to the long past, we can ask the questions in had. See, so many helping verbs we made use of. So either you stick to the helping verbs and make use of those helping verbs, or else you stick to, you go with the tense wise. What are the helping verbs that can be of use in the present tense? You make the questions in the present tense. You just think over, you just imagine what questions you need to ask with your friends. Okay, then you will easily get the questions. If you find difficulty, you can refer the slide. Otherwise, you make your own sentences. Now this is not enough. There is will. When will you make use of will? The questions referring to future tense. Will you attend the exam? Will you go to college? Will the college start soon? Will this corona end in the near future? Will the economy come on the track as earlier? So these are the questions referring to the future tense. Will the students come to the regular flow after the college or the school starts? So these are the future tense questions. Then there are some other occasions when we need some other helping verbs like modals. So you have heard may. When to use may? You make use of this in the schools and colleges when you are to enter the class, when the teacher is already there. What you ask? May I come in? If you are to leave the class for some emergency, you ask the permission. May I go out? If you ask permission for going home bit early, may I leave college or leave school 1 hour early? So all these for permissions, what you ask? May. Then can. When can we make use of can? When we refer to the possibilities. Can you speak in English? Can you speak in Hindi? Can you drive a car? Can you ride a bike? So all these are the possibilities. Means when we are not sure whether the person whom we are asking the question is capable of doing that action, at that time you make use of can. You don't say, will you drive a car? That means he knows driving and you are asking him or her to drive a car. Okay, but when you ask about the ability of the person in that, then you have to ask can. Can you drive a car? Can you ride a bike? Can you help me? I am in financial crisis. Can you help me? I am in the educational crisis. I have some difficulties in my studies. Can you help me in solving the problems? So here when the possibility is suggested, we go for can. Okay. Then would or should. These are usually might, would, then could, should. These are the forms which we make use of in the reported speech. When the present tense forms are there in the reported speech, and while reporting to the indirect speech, we change them to the past tense form. But that is not the only use of these four. For example, would. It is also used in the requests. I told you in my previous video, that is in English we have you for all the people, for singular, for plural, for the people in the higher position, the elders, for everybody we make use of you. Then how can we show the respect by making changes in these helping verbs. See, if you want to have some favor from some elder, see, your pen is, something is wrong with your pen and you can't write and you want to borrow the pen from your teacher, then can you give me your pen? You are not to ask your teacher. Then in such a context, you are to ask your teacher, sir or madam, would you please give me your pen? Would. So instead of will, we are to make use of would, and that use of would make the speech bit formal, and by that way we show reverence to the person senior to us in our English conversation. So remember this, because you need to make use of such sentences in schools or colleges, even in the working places when you are to deal with the persons in a higher position. You feel a bit hesitating to refer to the person as you. No problem, you make use of you very confidently, but add such words. Instead of will, make use of would, or add please there in that question. By doing so, you will be showing respect to the persons in the higher position. So I hope you can construct the sentences in this form, that is yes no questions. If you still find difficult, okay, I suggest you either of the two ways. One is that you stick to tenses and go on asking the questions first in the present tense, then in the past tense, and then to future or probability or possibility, such questions. Or else, okay, you just take one helping verb and put one subject to that helping verb and the question is automatically formed. For example, is taken with any singular verb, singular third person. Okay, then what word you will take? Is cat. What will be the next one? Is cat here? Is cat there? Am I free? Am I busy? So anything, any helping verb you take. And remember the 12 tenses which I had referred to in my last session, the same 12 tenses can be converted into the questions. So you can have a glance at it. She sings. Does she sing? Remember, when there is no helping verb, I had asked you to make use of do or does. So does she sing? She is singing. Is she singing? The rest of the sentence will be same. Only thing is, instead of she is, you just reverse the order. You can take this slide also as a model, as an example, and based on this you can practice the framing of these questions, that is yes no questions. And after you have done or transformed these 12 sentences of different tenses into a question, then try for other helping verbs which are not covered here. See, may, it is not covered, only will is there, that's why I have marked there. She will sing. Okay, so it is converted into will she sing. So similarly, you can frame the questions with may or can or would. So any helping verb you can take and you can frame the sentences on this particular format. So you just need, and I again and again stress, as I have seen in my workshops or in my classrooms, students needed bit more time to frame questions because the wrong or the Butler pattern is already fixed in their mind. You know Butler pattern very well. What is that? Okay, so usually they begin with a subject. You going? They ask. So they fail to ask, are you going? They even the question also they begin with a noun. So when that pattern is fixed in the mind since decades, it is not so easy for my kids, my students. Okay, so for those who are a bit familiar with the sentence structure, it is not very difficult. So either of the method you choose, either you concentrate the helping verb wise or you can concentrate on the tense wise, that is by changing the different tenses into questions. Next comes the WH question. once you have a command over the yes no question, it is very easy to frame the WH question. There is no difference. So there in the yes no question also I had left a blank, isn't it? In my last slide I had left a blank there, that is somebody is to come there and sit, and that somebody is none other than the WH word. Now how many WH words are there in English? See, this is the list. Only these are the WH words in English. The basically, okay, we have only the first list, that is who, whose, whom, what, which, why, where, when, and from how. How, though it begins with H, it is considered as a WH word. How much, how many, how far, and how long. So these are the basic WH words, and from them there are some derived depending upon the context. A few examples I have given here, that is with whom, for what, or on whose. So like this, the derived WH words may be there. But the structure, look at the structure. There we had helping verb and subject. Here the only difference is before that helping verb comes now the WH word. That's all. And this you can easily make use of. I have given one example for all the WH words here. That is, who are you? Whom do you prefer with you? Whose help do you take in your classroom? You need not to concentrate only on the slides, only on the examples there in the slide. You take them as a sample, as a format, and take or prepare your own questions. Okay, just fix in your mind those WH words. Who? With who, so many questions you can ask. Who is your best friend? Who is your father? Or who is your teacher? Who is your guide in the crisis? Who helps you? Who informed you? Okay, who encouraged you in this talent? So like this, with who, so many questions we can. Then whom? Whom do you rely on in the crisis? Whom do you prefer with you to travel? Whom do you want with you to accompany in your venture? Okay, whose help do you take in your studies? So any WH word you take. Where is your house? Where is your college? Where do you go? Where is my bag? Where is my mobile? The question very often asked by you at home. Where is my bag? Where is my phone? Where is my watch? You will be shouting all the time with these questions. When is your exam? When does the college start? With when? Then where? So any WH word, or take for example the sentences in the 12 tenses. See, she sings a song, or she sings. We had converted into a question as does she sing. Now for this does she sing, apply any WH word which is suitable and see how many questions you will get. Just to see one example. Does she sing? Why does she sing? Where does she sing? When does she sing? How does she sing? With whom does she sing? See? So, every yes no question can be transformed into so many WH questions by adding a WH word, whichever the word that suits to that particular question. So go on adding the WH words and you will get so many WH questions. And WH question is not a difficulty for the students, as I have seen, because the yes no questions they find sometimes very difficult to give the examples also. But when the WH questions are asked, or when the examples for the WH questions are asked, once the one WH word is given, then very spontaneously a number of examples come out from the students. So likewise it will not be a difficulty for you. So I hope you have understood the framing of WH questions. So the major part of your conversation is over now. See, now that you have got the information as to how to frame WH question and how to frame the yes no question, so even in the requests also you can make use of. WH questions are not used, but yes no questions can be used even while making the request also. Instead of imperative sentences, see, give me a pen, or please give me a pen, you say. Instead of saying that, you can ask, will you please give me your pen, or can you please lend me your pen? If it is for the seniors or some person with in a higher status, okay, I would be happy. If you, this is a long way, no. So, could you please lend me your car for a day? Among the friends, among the colleagues, these type of incidents occur. So, if you are to ask for such a huge favor, let there be a bit politeness. So, how you should say, could you lend me your car for a day? So, you can't say, can you lend me a car or lend me your car? It will not be right. So, add bit respect there. So, how? By using or making use of could. So, like this, make use of the questions in your talk for making request, for asking the questions or making the queries for anything. But remember, never a question begins with a subject. Either it begins with a helping verb or with a WH word. That's all. Bear it in your mind, be firm in your mind that if you are using one subject, one pronoun or noun at the beginning of a sentence, at the beginning of a question, then you are sure to make the mistake. You are not using a right question. So, you are making a wrong sentence there. So, make this idea firm in your mind. So, any questions, either it is yes no question or WH question, it begins with either with the helping verb or with the WH word. The next one is tag question. These also very often we make use of. She is a pretty girl, we say. Isn't she? He is a very naughty boy. Isn't he? They are busy. Aren't they? So, you have heard of these small sentences, these small tags or tag questions. How to make use of these? So, this is very simple. This tag has only 3 words, 2 to 3 words, not compulsorily 3, because see there, not is kept in the bracket, it is optional. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. Okay. So, the tag question has either 2 words or 3 words. Now, how to take these 2 or 3 words? Remember, the first word will be, as I told you, as any questions has the helping verb. Second is the shortened form of not, and third is a pronoun. Now, from where to pick up all these things, the helping verb, the not and the pronoun? Very easy. Take the helping verb from the statement, and if there is no helping verb in the statement, then our good time Samaritan, who is that? Do, form of do. Do, does or did, depending upon the tense of the statement and depending upon the subject, make the right choice of do, does or did. Okay. Then not, if the statement has got not, if the statement is negative, the tag will be affirmative. So, in the tag you are not to add the not. Okay. If the statement is affirmative, you are to add not in the tag. So, either of the places, if it is here on the one side, you are not to add there. If it is missing in the first part, you are to add not in the tag. That is all. Very simple. Only 3 words, helping verb, not and pronoun. Not only if the statement is affirmative. I give you some concrete examples. You can have a glance at these examples given, or you can make some, or you can practice with the other. See, I give you some examples for this. She is a good singer, isn't she? He is not regular in studies. See this sentence, here there is not. Okay. So, in the tag we are not to add not there. He is not regular in studies. Is he? So, as not is added in the first part, we are to discard it in the tag. She is not obedient. Is she? Let me first take only the affirmative statements. Okay. She respects the elders. Doesn't she? They attend the meeting regularly. They attend the meeting regularly. Don't they? The boy wastes time in playing. doesn't he? The boy wastes time in playing, doesn't he? Here boy is the subject, so there is no pronoun in place of subject. Okay, so now I have transformed that boy into a pronoun and said that he, doesn't he? So like this you are to frame the tags. So if there is not in the statement, add it in the tag. If there is not in the statement, then you need not add in the tag. So the reverse of thing, either of the places should have the thing that is the middle one, optional one not. So here ends a very major topic of spoken English, that is questions. Then what are the other types of sentences that we make use of? That is the passive sentences. Passive sentences are used especially when the action done is very important and not the person who has done it. For example, the results are announced. The college reopening date is announced. Corona vaccine has been discovered. Who discovered is not important. We are desperately waiting for that vaccine, so the action or the incident is important. So in such cases, usually in news reporting, in scientific writing, we find or making use of these type of passive sentences. But in our day-to-day life also, we make use of passive sentences in some occasions, especially when the incident is important and the doer is not that important. So in such cases, we must make use of this passive, and this is not a very difficult aspect. I had told you, I had referred you about the tenses, 12 tenses. Remember, of those 12 tenses, some 7 tenses I had marked as important, that is first 3 in the present tense, first 3 in the past tense and the first one in the future. So these 7 tenses can only be converted into passive. Remember, the rest of the tenses cannot be transformed into passive. And one more condition for passive is that the verb must be transitive. What is meant by transitive verb? Transitive means the verb which demands an object. Sa karmaka we say in Kannada. Okay, so the verb must be transitive and the tenses must be either of these 7 tenses. Only those can be transformed into the passive sentences. For example, she sings a song. A song is sung by her. She is singing a song. A song is being sung by her in the continuous. Remember, in continuous it is being sung by her. Then she has sung a song. A song has been sung by her. So I repeat the same thing once again. See here, she sings a song. A song is sung by her. She is singing a song. A song is being sung by her. She has sung a song. A song has been sung by her. Same into passive. The only difference is change in place of is, make it was, and in place of has, make it had. That's all. She sang a song was sung by her. She was singing a song was being sung by her. She had sung a song had been sung by her. And in the future tense, she will sing a song will be sung by her. This pattern is same for any model, even if there is can or may, the same pattern. Modal plus be plus pp. Remember, in all the tenses, in all the verb phrases, the main verb always will be in the past participle. Only the helping verbs will change and the main verb will remain in the third form only in the passive form. So never make use of past tense of the verb in passive. So to summarize, you can have a glance at this. PP means past participle. So in the simple present tense, is MR plus PP. Next one, is MR plus being plus PP. Next, has or have plus been plus PP. Past tense, was or were plus PP, was, were plus being plus PP, had plus been plus PP, and last one modal plus be plus PP. Now you just by heart this, then you will never commit mistake. Only 7 things. You memorize thousands of formulas, especially science students. So it is not very difficult for you to remember only these 7 brief or summarized things in passive, and you will never commit any mistakes in the passive voice. So then you can use it in the spoken English also very confidently in that case. Then another type of sentence which very rarely we make use of in our conversation, but still we use whenever we have some surprise, some shock, or some grief, a sudden grief. So we make such expressions, especially the surprise and happiness expressions we make use of in our conversation. So here also there are two methods: either add one interjection and use an ordinary statement, a simple assertive statement, or make use of the statement as shown in the beginning part, make use of what or how and add the helping verb in the end. And this structure I need not stress you, because off and off we make use of these in our conversation even though we know nothing of the structure of a sentence. Oh, what a beautiful scenery, we say, just add one is, that's all. What a cool weather, we say, just add one is, the sentence is complete. Even if you don't make use of is, that's all, because for the expressions or in the spoken English, once you have a command over the grammar, you need not bother about all such tiny things like whether you have used is or not. So no one bothers. The confidence matters. And when you have got the sound confidence after mastering the previous things discussed, then these silly matters won't bother your conversation. So these expression you can easily make use of in the conversation. So besides this, as I told you, there are some other types of sentences which also come across, which we come across in our conversation, or which we hear some people making use of. Of these, some of them I am referring here. That is, one is impersonal it. We often say it is raining, it is hot here. It is very dangerous thing to do that work. So these type of things, it is called use of impersonal it. So remember that pattern. And whenever needed, now in the rare cases we make use of, remember this particular pattern. Then like this, many a time when we wish, we say, may God bless you, may all your wishes come true. So this is nothing but a simple assertive sentence, but only for the sake of effect we just reverse the order of the words as we do in the poetry. See, may God bless you. So actually sentence is God may bless you. So it is a simple future tense sentence, isn't it? God will help you, God may help you. So this is simple sentence, but for the effect or for giving it the form of a blessing, what we make, just a slight change. May God bless you, may your dream come true, may the Almighty fulfill your wish. So these are the expressions, this type of expressions we make use of in the conversation. Then next comes use of let. Let us go home, let us stop here, let me not bother you, let me not scratch your head anymore, because your mind is saturated. So this type of thing, the use of let also in our conversation here and there we make. Then infinitive too. See, I go to market, I write notes. These are the simple type on sentences. But these what they mean? ನಾನು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. But in some contexts we want to mean in some other way, that is ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ಮುಗಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. Like this, or in this sense we want to make use of the words. So in such cases we make use of infinitive too. I want to go home, I want to finish the work, I want to go to market, I want to finish the project in time, I want to help my parents, I want to help my friends. So these type of sentences that we call as a use of infinitive too. So as I told you, if you have a command over these things discussed in the initial stage, I would be happy to take some more advanced level sessions if you convey your wishes or your doubts or your difficulties through your comments to this video. And if the comments, if I feel those comments are genuine, I will surely try to help you or solve your problems. My intention is that the workshop should help as many students as possible, especially those students who are from the vernacular tongue, and many of the meritorious students or candidates who are deprived of very good opportunities because of lack of poor English or poor spoken English. So my humble interest or the genuine interest is that I should be able to help those, because I have the personal experience wherein I have seen the students attending the interviews or the group discussions for the recruitment drive, which go on for hours together and which are difficult even for the students from English medium. As such, I just think over what will be the condition of the Kannada medium students or those who are from the Kannada medium students. So my intention is to help those students community who are in need, and I will be very happy at least a few students are benefited by this. And if you want to go in detail, you can refer your grammar books or the notes, whatever that is taught to you in your classrooms. There is, yes, and one more example is there, make use of there. There is hot here, or there is some disturbance here, we say. So making use of there in the sentence. So these are some of the other patterns which we come across. And one more is used to, which we refer to our past habits. I used to go for walk. I used to study hard in my school days, whereas in the college days I have left studying. So you can, if it was your past habit, you can say I used to study so hard in my college days. So these are the patterns, or these are the some of the sentences which are of best use in your conversation. And this is sketch or the pattern of workshop that I have given you in these two sessions is, as I told in the beginning, it is not based on any theory, but experimenting with my own students from Kannada medium, and by making a note of the mistakes they committed, I have just added or deleted the things and has given this form. And as I admitted in the beginning, and my many of the workshop also proved me, being the online class, it is not possible to have the two-way interaction. I can't discuss with you. But the real workshops has shown me, even those candidates who were sitting with a sealed mouth in the beginning, they had started opening their mouth towards the end of the workshop, and that gave me the confidence to reach you at least by this way. So try to make best use of it. And these are the books that I had referred you in the beginning, which we had brought up mainly for the students to improve their spoken English. The one is directly related to spoken English, and the other two are helpful for developing the vocabulary. If possible, you make use of them. Many of my students have the copy. So the others, if you really get interested, or you can refer the dictionaries in the Google or the Wikipedia or something on the online things also, and as and when you want one word, instantly you can refer those words and try to expand your vocabulary. The only thing, the only helpful means, the tips for you to improve your spoken English is expanding your vocabulary. Unless you develop that, you will not be able to speak. And remember, if you watch these two videos, or if you have already watched these two videos, and if you follow up the drill work that I have suggested here, I can challenge you that you will be able to speak in any context, whether it is with your senior officers, whether it is with your colleagues, you will speak in such a way that they will not be able to believe that you are a non-English medium student or a candidate. So, and main thing is the language dies by disuse. Make use of it. Again and again I am saying, if your pronunciation is not good, don't bother. In India, no one has a correct pronunciation in English, because everyone's pronunciation in English is affected by his own mother tongue. Okay, when this is the case, why to bother? And if you once if you commit one mistake and if somebody laughs, then take it as a merit, because it is a chance for you to get yourself corrected and you will never forget that particular word in your life. You will be fixed in your mind that the pronunciation of this word is that. So, do not bother about the mistakes, do not bother about the insults, take them as the stones thrown at you and build a huge castle, a beautiful castle. Take all the negative things as a positive, as a tonic for you, and proceed. Unless you try, you will not be able to learn. So, if you commit mistake, then you will understand this is wrong and this is the right way. If you do not open the mouth, then there are no chances of correction, there are no chances of improvement. And I hope the workshop is of help to you, and make the best use of it, and really I will then feel that yes, whatever the efforts I have put here, it is fruitful or it is useful. It will really give me a feeling of contentment, and which is far superior than whatever the monetary benefits or the salaries that we get for our work that we do. Thank you.